is being
All right. So in flawless thinking, buried deep within flawless thinking, the center of flawless thinking is thankfulness. Right below that, you'll see present, and then right here you can barely see it. It's feelings. Not that feelings aren't important; they obviously are. But I don't know that they have. I don't know that they have. I don't know that we understand feelings in the way that they will bring us the benefit. I think often feelings, hurt us. They hurt us and they hurt other people. And so when we look at this brand new model, like isn't it cool and how that one word right there has a whole bunch of stuff underneath it, like feelings, like what are they? So in the quantum feeling model, does it really matter how we choose to think and feel? Like interesting question, right? Does how we choose to think and feel actually change our very DNA? Like, I'm serious. Does it change our very DNA? I mean, imagine that. Like, and it's a choice, So it seems like a lot of times feelings maybe aren't choices. They're just feelings. They're there. So here's the DNA. All right. So here's destructive feelings: entitlement, self-righteousness, and being a victim. And what's interesting about this is I think most people, like, we're all entitled to some degree. It's not all or nothing, right? That's goofy. Like, we're not all entitled or all self-righteous or all victim or never victim, never self. So it's a spectrum. It's like we're on a spectrum, right? On what we're doing here. And so now when we look at these destructive feelings, the first thing seems to be entitlement. So I'm doing a podcast with my youngest son on addictions. And it's like he and I both, I think, are on a similar path where every addiction that we have, not just the drugs and the alcohol, but the addiction to feelings or validation or shopping or hoarding or pornography or, there's addictions that, are acceptable and addictions that are not acceptable in society. But every addiction comes back to entitlement. I'm entitled to what? I'm entitled to feel something. And I don't have to do the work, and I don't have to take the risk, and I don't have to make the sacrifice. And so it seems like entitlement is the first thing. Like, I'm entitled to feel this, and I don't feel this. And the feeling reveals something about somebody else, or does it? Like, when you look at pain, physical pain, when we have physical pain, it never reveals something about somebody else. It reveals something only about us. Like ourselves. It reveals something about me. Like, when I have a broken arm, it's not revealing something about my wife or my kids or somebody else. Physical pain reveals something about me. And so what if feelings were meant on the mental side of it, the emotional side, the mental health side? What if we've got the mental health side all wrong, like all backwards? Like, what if we did? Like, what if we changed our entire thought process about feelings? So what is the antidote to these destructive thoughts and feelings? So when we get entitled, what happens is I'm entitled to feel this way about you, about this, and it's your fault because I have these feelings. And then all of a sudden we move from entitlement to self-righteousness, and we go ahead and say, I'm better than you because I would never do this to you. So we become self-righteous. And then all of a sudden, if that doesn't manipulate people into doing what we want them to do, then we become a victim. And so now all of a sudden, it's like this triangulation to destruction of relationships, not just deep relationships, but any relationship. Now, here's healthy thoughts. Can healthy thoughts wipe out, destructive feelings? But feelings are so much easier than thoughts. They just are. Like, they just are. And so what's the what's the antidote? What's the vaccine for entitlement? It's thankfulness. It's being thankful for what we have. What's the vaccine for self-righteousness? It's humility. I think I'm better than somebody else. I think I would never do this. What they just did to me, and I created this feeling, I would never do something like that to them, ever. Really? Maybe you've done something worse and you don't even realize it. People are entitled and self-righteous. They don't realize that they're that way. Ask somebody, do you feel you're entitled? Almost everybody says no. Do you feel you're self-righteous? I don't think I am. And then being a victim, do you think you're a victim? I don't think I am. So in victim, what's the vaccine? What's the antidote for being a victim? It's taking ownership. So there's stories behind all three of these that we won't go to in this podcast on Voices for Integrity, but in other ones we will. And so there's how we choose to think, control our feelings. A famous book out there, and it says, capture every thought. What does it mean? Capture every thought. like, is this thought going to benefit me right here, right now, and is it going to benefit me in the future? So if we learn to be more disciplined in our thinking, does that control our feelings? And when we have our feelings disciplined and control, is that going to go ahead and improve all areas of our lives and the lives of people around us? I don't know, right? Good question. If we make better choices in how we feel, would that change, everything, including our very DNA? How much of our physical health is connected into our mental health? Nobody knows. The experts do not know. They do not know. Sometimes they fall into entitlement. I have a doctorate. I've been practicing medicine for 20, 30 years. And, you should listen to me because I'm an expert. Are you? Are you? Really? And then in the self-righteousness world, pastors and religious leaders, I went to seminary. I see all this kind of stuff. People, they take advantage of me. Do you as a pastor take advantage of anyone else? Do you use your niceness to get other people to do things? But it's good for them, right? Because I think it's good for them. And being a victim, it's like, you're mistreating me. Well, maybe you mistreated them. And do we use a victim to go ahead and get what we want? And so destructive feelings are far, far easier in the short term than healthy thoughts. It just is. It's easy to go ahead and feel angry or frustrated or mad or hurt or sad. It's easier to go ahead and have feelings. They just come naturally. We don't have to really work at it. You don't have to work to feel mad. Man, I really want to feel mad today. Some maybe do, but most do not. And so when we look at these things here, it's the discipline of it. In Good to Great, the book by Jim Collins, great organizations are disciplined people, disciplined thinkers, and disciplined in taking action. Why isn't it disciplined feelers? Maybe feeling is connected into our thoughts. And, if we had better thoughts, we'd have better feelings, and they would, help out a whole bunch of people. The biggest challenge is not fixing our feelings and thinking. It's not that. It's not fixing it. That's not the biggest challenge. You're probably asking, what do you think is the biggest challenge, Mark? I'm glad you asked. I think the hardest part is learning how to see it in ourselves, where we don't see the entitlement. I've noticed in the last 5 years, I have to fight entitlement more than I've ever had to fight it before in my life. I've been paying into Social Security now for over 40 years. And do I feel that I'm entitled to getting Social Security? When I look around and I see all these people that never pay into anything and they expect the government to do this, I've paid into something, for over 4 decades. I put so much money into that. I'm entitled to get some. Am I? Am I really entitled to get something back? And so, learning how to see in ourselves, not just others, it's learning how to be self-aware. So, talk to your art mentor and your two art buddies about this and say, isn't this interesting? Like, huh, like, And what's weird and exciting and strange is whenever you get groups of people together, it seems like in Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity, when groups of people get together, they seem to go ahead and have more entitlement, more self-righteousness, and more victimhood. My dad, I grew up as a pastor's and a missionary's kid. So I seen a lot of pastors, uncles, brother. I got lots of people. And it's like, interesting. And groups, man, they hate when somebody comes and says, you as pastors, you're entitled, self-righteous, and you're victims. Oh, they hate that. The only thing they hate more than somebody outside the group telling them that is somebody inside the group. If you tell women, you're entitled, you're self-righteous, you're victims, like, man, they hate that. But the only thing they hate worse than a man telling them that is a woman telling them that. What if you're Latino or Black or Jewish or, who hates it more than anybody else? I thought white males over 50, especially Christian white males over 50, I thought, they're pretty strong. Are they? Because let me tell you, they do not like, especially when another Christian white male over 50 says, you know what? We got issues. They don't like that. Groups want to push everybody out so they can feel like we're special. I don't know. It's interesting. You can always tell when somebody over-identifies with a group. How's that, Mark? To say something about a group that they're a part of. What their response is. I love when people say things to me about white males over 50. I love when people say things to me about Christians, negative things. I'm like, right? You guys think that's bad? Let me share this and this and this and this and this. But most people don't do that. They over-identify with a group of people. And anytime you say something about that group, all of a sudden there's this viciousness, there's this anger, there's these feelings that how dare you go ahead and say something about a group that I'm a part of. And so the person's, they're not an individual, they're part of an entity. So hopefully this has been helpful. If you have any questions, connect with the individual who invited you to participate, or you can call toll-free 888-230-2300 outside the U.S. 630-393-9909. Always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.